She like, boy, what you doing to my table? To my table. She like, boy, what you doing to my table? I was like, Empress, my fault. My back. Don't kill me, baby. She said she not. So, peace, Noble Lamarck. I was just waiting for you, Noble. See how you doing. Can you hear me, Noble?
Hello.
Okay. Can somebody do our Moorish American prayer? If you don't mind, Noble.
The Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Ali. Amen. Ayah Shalom Alakim. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Al-Haq, Yahu Khamid. Islam, Akbe. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace, nobles. First, I want to say gratitude to everyone for being here today, taking time out their day to learn. And man, we had an amazing workout. So I hope those that missed, man, join us when you can, man.
It's on.
But today we're just gonna illuminate a couple things. Not gonna be too long, but it's always a good idea to refresh our minds, and it's imperative to go over things. And so the first thing I want to illuminate, hold on, give me 1 second, nobles, because I know everybody's coming in, so I don't want to get to going too fast. Islam. Peace, noble.
Islam. Peace. Peace. Peace.
Peace. Give it a quick second. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna be jumping into one of the sciences, man, and the portable illumination from the Moorish for the Moorish American. I don't know if all of us have this document yet, but Noble Lamarck said we're gonna make some things available. So as we going over things, Moorish can have it, because we like for us to have things in our hand to study. Islam. Okay. So the first thing I always like to talk about is the unity of all texts and all holy books synchronized. And then when I speak on having a clear understanding of what Elihu's lessons, and when we talk about the unity of life, and when we have a clear understanding of both the Bible and the Quran and all holy books, we have to have that critical eye. You got to have a critical eye of a Moorish American connection to the ancient Egyptian mysteries. And the mere adoption of ancient Egyptian names, imagery, god forms, etc., does not constitute a possession or knowledge, Moors, of the authentic tradition as developed in those ancient times. And to possess the tradition, it is necessary to apprehend the underlying pattern that the cultural trappings of that time and that dispensation. In this case, when we talk about ancient Egypt, we talk about certain clothing, a full understanding of the system allows a change of cultural complexion without losing any. Just like when we can quote in books that people like to, G.M. James stated that the Moors are the custodians of the ancient Egyptian mysteries. It does not mean that Moors are imitating ancient Egyptians but that the internal spiritual system that powered the ancient Egyptian culture now does the same for the Moorish culture. Even in the 8th century, those Moors, those natives of Mauritania, were the recipients and custodians of the ancient authentic tradition that was and is the mystery of Egypt, and became so far Moorish from number of avenues. When you had the Dragon Court Knights Templars, historiographer Royal Lawrence Gardner informs the student, the Lord Jethro, the Median Sheik from the plains of Moab, was the personage of the El Shaddai, or the Lord of the Mountain, that the initiate, his son-in-law Moses, aka Musa, on the Mount Sinai, or aka Horeb, Jethro was, according to the apocryphal book of Yasher, the master of the Egyptian temple, dedicated to who? Hathor, at the Sinai or the Horeb, location now known as Seraph El Kadim, discovered in 1904 by Sir W.M. Flinders Petrie. This temple is known for its production in ancient times of the mysteries of myths, MFKZT, the AKA white powder of projection. When I get into things, when I talk about the DMT, the spirit molecule that's within, that a lot of people use psychedelic drugs and mushrooms, but you don't need that when you know how to activate things within. The Philosopher's Stone, known today as the what? The orbally what? Rearrange what? Monoatomic elements, the atomic gold, the Midianites were directly linked to the ancient Moabites by geography and by blood. So when we do a historical avenue of as just lining things up, you can talk about in later dispensations during the Persian, during the Greek and the Roman invasion of Egypt, large numbers of Egyptians, traveled to Arabia, Asia Minor, North Africa, where teachings of their mysteries greatly enhance the already present ancient Egyptian teachings. Already during that time. And it greatly enhanced the already present ancient Egyptian teachings of the descendants of the ancient Moabites in Mauritania, aka North Africa. The Moors history as the neighbors of a safe haven for the Egyptians were also in fact custodians of Egyptian culture, carrying the systemized Egyptian mysteries to Europe via the occupation of Spain, and through their contributions, there became the world-recognized custodians and ambassadors of African culture that the known world at that time looked for enlightenment. And further, Moors and true light seekers, the Moors established caliphates and at Baghdad, Cordova, and Cairo, thus maintaining a consistent contact with the Egyptian, Europe, and Asia Minor simultaneously. All these things can be understood and revealed when you compare and contrast the analysis of utterance 301 of the Yunus text. I'm talking about ancient texts. It reveals more of the coherent of thought that is the Egyptian mystery continuum as expressed in the Moorish American thought via the Moorish Holy Quran. You can start lining this stuff up. The primeval is the infinite duration of unmanifestation, a place where time never was, coupled with what? Primordial non-beings. This expression, the primordial or the primeval duality, the archetypal, the subject, the netted, the net, and the object, the pat or the pot, quite similar to the very first sentence in chapter 1 of the Holy Moorish Quran. What is the first, similar to the first sentence in the Holy Quran, chapter 1? It says, time never was when man was not. Islam?
Wow.
Okay.
Islam.
And that statement can only be fully expressed and understood by someone fully immersed into the gnosis of the everlasting gospel, for only one who is through his or her higher self can view the world without time, thus himself, herself, being truly outside of time, what we like to say, timeless. That's when you experience such a state, a such nirvana, a such blissness, and able to make such a statement with full understanding, with full illumination. Ones that's qualified to speak on these matters, and is in fact doing the speaking, uttering, now presents and presents his or her own credentials for being recognized as the logos of the Holy One, the circle of the race. Don't this sound familiar? The seven of time, or one that has unveiled the Isis, the Aset, and thus commune with those clothed in a primeval darkness of unmanifestation, yet informed and guide all manifestations. So when we talk about invisibility, the Iman or the Eman, and the invisible, the all presence, the immanent or the immanent, the Imenet, are here both identified by the utterer and the being present without, and owners of the primeval darkness of the unmanifestation. So what I'm saying is a more complete description of this abyss and this darkness. When we can start tracing things, stay in the context. Watch how we fast forward and get right to where we need to be. When we talk about number system and we talk about religious orders, we talk about research, and the most ancient of initiation systems all follow a threefold process. Just like in chapter 1 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it plainly and with great detail explains the core purpose of the use of the number 3 in all true initiatory bodies of the authentic tradition. And then we lay it out, not only the threefold nature of the macrocosmic projection of this so-called universe, but also for those with eyes to see, the microcosmic pleroma within man or woman, him or herself. Thus, the threefold initiation system is designed to bring the initiate into a full and operative consciousness of himself or herself at each part of his or her own nature, along with its corresponding microcosmic realm. So you got to ask yourself a question. Why did creative faith, Morris, give to spirit man a body of soul that he or she might function on the plane of soul? Have you ever asked yourself these questions? Because this is in our Quran. When we talk about studying ourselves, it's there. Why did the creative faith give to spirit man a body of a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did the creative faith give to the soul a body of flesh that he or she might function on the plane of things made manifest? And once again, a clear understanding is that the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, it fits the criteria for an authentic outer order, initiatory body. When you start comparing and contrasting all authentic religions and things on that so-called subject matter, and if you stay in context of what we're talking about and don't get out of context, it'll be clearly seen that all true religious orders, like other esoteric orders, aka occult or mystic, are initiatory in nature and structure, first providing an introduction to the mysteries, then rigorous training and preparation, and finally full immersion into the higher mysteries. All true initiatory bodies from ancient time to present possesses and utilizes a 3-degree system in the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. These 3 degrees system is expressed as one. The first heaven, the introduction to the outer mysteries. When I talk about the lower science, the second is the second heaven training in preparation for the inner mysteries. The third heaven is the initiation, immersion into the inner mysteries, and the initiation into the AC, which we call the Adapt Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America, represents the divide between the purely speculative, the philosophical, and the operative. and the practical. And the receiving of a new name, aka or annexation, is indicative of a higher initiation. That's question 37 and 55 in your Quran questionnaire for the Moorish children. Enoch became what? Metatron. Abram became what? Abraham. Jacob became what? Ishmael. Am I making this stuff up?
No.
Come on. Jediah became Solomon. The mysteries, outer and inner, comprise the everlasting gospel. The magnum opus, or the great work of masterminds, the plain and demonstration of the conjuring of death and the restoration of the terrestrial immortality of man. Our greatest example and model of the mysteries is that of the Christ cosmic pattern, as embodied in the man or that figure they call Jesus or Yeshua, being he or that manifestation as the Good Samaritan made public and accessible, that everlasting gospel, aka the secrets of the gods, so that all of humanity could benefit. Please stay in context. So when we talk about distinction is made between true initiation and participation in a mere ritual, while ritual is designed to facilitate the change that true initiation is. The initiation conductor must be duly and truly qualified. Just like when I talk about Abramelech, the Magi, when all those magic tricks you can do is no good if your heart is not pure. That is, he or she must first be immersed in the mystery and thus able to pass unto the candidates through the ritual, the access to what? The change or the illumination. The inability of an individual to drive a car in no way impinges upon the design and purpose of that vehicle itself, Moors. Therefore, even an incompetent conductor serves the grand purpose of the passing, the mechanism of initiation down to others until one who has the requisite, the qualifications, can once again bring life and fresh initiation to the ritual. And a lot of times, yes, we can say the Moorish movement is messed up, but it's a new birth. So when we talk about things, man, that we should be studying our Moorish Quran, who was the angel that gave Jesus a holy name? Don't the scripture says praise his holy name?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so let's deal with the text. Let's deal with it. Who was the angel, or what was the angel that gave so-called Jesus, Yahshua, his holy name, or his holy name? It's in our Moorish Quran, chapter 13, 14, and 15. Chapter 13, verse 14 and 15. The bestowing of a holy name is indicative of a what? Higher initiation. The giver of the name is the one that bestows the initiation. Hence, the Hierophant can be seen as an angel that gave Jesus or Yahshua his name, the holy name. That's a key, number 38. If more say they under the triple rose, this serves to further identify the Adept Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America as a true initiatory body directly in line with the ancient Egyptian mystery systems. Even in your surah of your Holy Quran of Mecca, peace be upon it, inform us that to facilitate. Alonzo, it's right there. Surah 2 and 34. Surah chapter 2, verse 30 to 34 of the Holy Quran of Mecca informs us that to facilitate the function of man as Khalifa, Allah teaches him the names of all things in existence. Since the true name of a thing, is the spiritual, the etherical, programmed pattern of said thing. Knowing its true name gives one power over that thing. This fact underscores the corresponding nobles of man being, watch this, destined to be Lord of the plane of soul of things made manifest, as stated in chapter 1 of your Moorish Holy Quran. And then somebody gonna tell you that you don't know the name of your prophet and angel. It's foreign. Are you hearing me? Are y'all understanding that what I just said?
If I understand,
Go ahead, Noble.
I was saying if I understand correctly, or just kind of, in essence, you were saying that that the only way someone is going to understand wisdom is through a voice that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
That speaks to them.
Yeah.
Speaks to the spirit.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not going to understand the wisdom because the vibration is transferred to your spirit.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. And it's a certain form of initiation. It's just like everything we do, Noble Lamarck. If somebody say they want to be a referee, it got to be some that on your level. It got to be some form of initiation. It got to be some form.
There's training. There's a benchmark to see kind of where you are. Like we can't
Everything.
out there 'cause
Physical, mental,
you're not gonna succeed.
physical, mental, spiritual, a financial outlet. It's going to be all those things. But we hate to be initiated. We look at other people and want what they have. And I say, that is not how this is set up. This is about perfecting self.
You know what, Sheik? I think the thing is we don't want to be honest with ourselves about our bad decision making.
Islam.
So, you know, it's easier for it to be somebody else's fault than it is to say, you know what, I don't think my thoughts out. I don't think my decisions out very well. I make a lot of reactionary or emotional decisions. I mean, all those would be honest statements, that would probably move us closer to some clarity or understanding. But, I can speak for myself. You say all the time, I can speak for myself as I'm really getting better about, being honest with myself about my fault and, and what I got going on. So much more clarity. So
Yeah. It's just like Noble Malik always talk about the man in the mirror and perfecting self. That's why a new name indicates a change in psycho-spiritual life pattern. And it facilitates the same type of energy. And it represents a quite literal sacrifice. Just like Noble Lamarck is saying. A sacrifice is what? Is being honorable, telling the truth. The truth will make you free. That's what this is all about. When I say the biblical scripture says the truth has no size, you don't have to care how nobody feel about the truth. The truth has no size. Now what we gonna do about it? The sacrifice of the former self. To what? The mission. To what? The body. To what? The direction. Indicated by the name of being conferred. So when we say we ale and we bathe, I hope we don't take that lightly. True religious orders, like any other order, purporting to bring one face to face with deity, are initiatory in fashion and function, with various grades to chart the progress. The old Egyptian adage or adapt. The old science that they say to know thyself, the tip up secure. That's key for the mysteries to be boldly asserted that an ignorant of real deity and an ignorance of the true self are two sides of the same coin. For a person that don't have all the science can come to the real wisdom and better themselves. That's better than a person that's trying to gain a whole bunch of knowledge to do nothing. That's way more for a person can come under the sound of true guidance and take the science and be better and build themselves up. That's way better than a person that just know a whole bunch of stuff. And a number of other reasons. The numbers of grades of initiation are almost always 3. Introduction to the idea itself, just like Noble Lamarck said, preparation and training, and finally what? An immersion into the what? The ideal itself. Just like when I talk about 3 births, listen to this, the true in Allah. the tripartite, or that nature of man, that three major planes of experience, that nature of family, that man, woman, that child, the three-step ladder, the three stage of salvation, which is belief, faith, fruition. Meta-mathematical, Formula 1 equals 3. In the Moorish science, in the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, the three grades are represented as what? The first heaven, the holy day meeting, introduction to the outer, into what? The outer mysteries, the chemistry of what? The mortal. When I talk about 360, it's just the sum total of material wisdom. Life, belief, love, manifest, flesh, words, the second heaven, the Sunday school, the training, the preparation for the inner mysteries, the ministry of death, faith, will, soul, the letters, the third heaven, the adapt chamber, the initiation, the immersion into the inner mysteries, the mystery of the defiant life, the fruition, the wisdom, the spirit, the numbers, the outer and inner mysteries for the student that's under the science. The most obvious difference between the outer Moors and inner order is what? Ability, or the capacity for usage of the knowledge. Just like I'm saying, if a person reads so many books and you have a whole bunch of knowledge, but is that knowledge wisdom? Because 360 is just the sum total of material wisdom or material knowledge. 720 is the sum total of both material and spiritual knowledge. But that knowledge should transfer to wisdom, something that you can use, or it's no good. Mastery for us is not the accumulation of knowledge or even memorization of information, although memorization is essential in the training grade or the second heaven. When a person say, oh, they know all these languages and all that, that's great. That's fine, but that has nothing to do with righteousness.
I got a question, Sheikh.
Islam, Noble.
So are you saying that you cannot become wise, or you cannot acquire wisdom without some level of application?
Absolutely. Or it's just things, or it's just data. You know what I mean?
Or it's just data.
You know how you doing stats? Yeah, absolutely. You know how you doing stats, and you got to put all this information in the computer. And if a person don't know what they're doing, it'll be just data. That information, you got to be able to use it. That's when it becomes wisdom.
Yeah.
So no, that's just like supreme mathematics. When you go into the 1, 2, 3, knowledge, wisdom, and then knowledge, of course, is the foundation. But wisdom is the reflection of knowledge, which is what the application knowledge. Wisdom is unalike, but not understanding is alike. You know, to know something, there has to be a certain level of understanding that you know. You may not know it in total, right? But once you now have that knowledge, now you put it on the pavement, which is you walk it out. That's when you gain your wisdom because of the experience that you put forth by putting the knowledge into action is what births your wisdom.
Islam, Noble. Islam. And you know, it's just like when I be giving an analogy, Nobles, when I say it's who cares what somebody know. Excuse my candor when I be saying people want to have a pissing contest. And I always say Noble Lamarck and Noble Solomon and Noble Maso and Alonzo, like, are we out here acting like we gangbangers? Oh man, somebody know more than them. It's like, who cares? Is it applied? Your life, what are we building? Nobody cares about banking on a book. You can be overloaded. It must transfer to wisdom. It must transfer to be applied. That's why we talk about supreme hikah, supreme mathematics, understanding. This stuff got to be used. You got to understand.
That's why the Quran says one must be.
Yeah, Noble.
Because that way, then people actually understand that you know something because your life reflects that knowledge. You're not walking around, trying to, like a substitute teacher, trying to correct people.
Noble.
For a test that they don't even know they're taking. Like, how you got it wrong? They're like, how do you know that? It's like, well, yes, you took the test. You got it wrong.
Yep.
So,
yep. You know how somebody be walking around with a whole bunch of books in their backpack, always trying to correct somebody? That ain't God.
Right.
Everybody right here, they like, you like, oh shit, you be like, here this Negro come. Oh God. And every time we'll put that, you tired of that. You tired of that. Don't know God, man, do that. It's a setting for things. When I say this is a class, that's what I tell people. If you don't want to come to class, then you don't want to learn. You don't want to be initiated. You don't want to acquire any skill that's applicable to your life. I'm not talking to you. You see what I'm saying, Noble?
Right.
So as we talk about lessons, as we talk about science, we talk about class and the relationships between Quranic questions and our Quranic questionnaires, question 23, 72, 91, and our Quran questionnaire. Moors don't be knowing what the hell I'm saying. The underlying connection between all three keys is the true relationship between Allah and man, both the true man and man in his present state or her present state. The significance of the answers to these three keys is subtly hinted by the fact that each asks this simple question of why, and that is the simple. It's that simple. The single word question is repeated 3 times. Remember, key number 23 is why. Because Friday is the day on which man was formed in the flesh, and it was on Friday when he or she departed out of the flesh. This is from our teaching. The key deals with the unity of Allah and man at a particular period in time. In chapter 1 of your Moorish Quran, it informs us that man was a living soul before coming to the plane of manifest and being clothed in the flesh. That's Act 2. And so being a living soul with a supreme degree of self-determination, Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. And it stands to reason that the presence, and it appears in the flesh on the plane of what? Manifest, was our own choice and power. And he or she is also what? The Lord of all on the plane as well. Pertaining to your Moorish Quran, chapter 1, the specific point in time is designated by the lesson as what? Friday. And it can be looked at it from a number of perspectives. If we look at it in the form of literal 24-hour period term Friday, then the story ends there. But then you can not repinge and sewing in a stanky way. And digging deeper, if you want to do it, we can find that Friday is the 6th day. And this carries great significance, Moors and true light seekers. As we are taught in all of creation, in a year, a cycle, there is only what? 7 days per se. And how the elite, the enlightened measure time and cycles, not linear. Look in chapter 2 and 12 of your Moorish Holy Quran. In the cosmic sense, nobles, the 7 days per se of creation are 7 unending creative periods or realms of experience, world called the Elohim. That's chapter 11 and 23 of your Moorish Quran. That's why we always say, nobles, as you get into more science and in your text, your idea mark text, which you have, what does the cover say? Man was made in the what, y'all?
In the image of Elohim.
Okay. Man was made in the image of Elohim. And since the 7 governors of manifestation matters facilitate the weaving of the matrix of manifestation at all levels, nobles, from the most rarefied to the most dense, they themselves are what? Multidimensional. Yet provide means of access at each level. And we can describe these means of access as what? Correspondence. Look at what I'm talking about now. What I'm going to get into. 7 chromatic principles, ain't I?
Yep.
Okay. Things that we can agree on. A lot of times connotated as hermetics, stay in the science. And in this case of the Elohim, they include names. They include colors, sounds, planets, and more importantly, for the demonstration, the days of the week. That's key 23, which is Friday, the 6th day, corresponding to what? The 6th Elohim, the Enel, the planet Venus, and the color green. In the Hebrew secret tradition, it also corresponds to the sphere of experience called what? The Tifereth, or the Tifareth, or the 6th sphere on the Kabbalistic tree of life, located in the center of the tree, and the middle plane, the plane of soul, the physical, in the heart, aka that heart chakra, the 5-pointed green star in the center of our Moorish flag. It's also symbolic or emblematic of the man, the living soul, coming to the plane of manifest on the holy day, or the 6th period, or by way of the 6th Elohim. Islam?
Islam.
I'm almost, I hope y'all following me. Key 72, because it is Allah in man. And the key identifies and defines the higher self. I hope Moore is writing this down in your chapter Quran, chapter 36 and 10, in your Moore's Holy Quran. It informs us exactly what we are meeting in key 4, which provides us also the direction of our thoughts should be in our pursuits of Allah. It teaches us through contemplation. When I ask Morris, are you a contemplator or a procrastinator? Don't we ask that question, Lamar?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
It's right in our teachings that all are one. Chapter 10, verse 45. Chapter 10, verse 4 and 5. That's why when we give our benediction and then I say, hey, we don't have to do anything to unlock the gates of keys to paradise with illegal matters. Why? Because the key of salvation rests in our hand. And yet to truly realize it, we have to forget the flesh or cultivate the ability to see past our own flesh, to see and study our true selves. That's chapter 1 of your Holy Moore's Quran. It teaches you true Moors further and self is our true self. Only dormant, aka a seed, and to cultivate it, we must direct the energy of what? Focus, attention on that. And this is the primary purpose of the Moorish American prayer. Prayer is the practice, the training of approaching perfection by turning attention inward. Islam?
Islam.
Why? What you got, babe? Some food? She in there hooking it up. Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of Allah. This is key. And it's often interpreted as describing the physical makeup of man being the same as that of Allah. Yet key 4 informs us that we cannot see Allah. So this, for the Moorish American, the Islamic perspective is false. First man was made on the plane of soul, not the plane of manifest. And so therefore, his or her image cannot be that of a physical appendage, arm, leg, arm, head. Allah in the noble Quran of Mecca informs us that we must get to know him or that manifestation through the names. The power of the name of a thing is immersed. It gives us access to the thing name. That's why the scripture says, praise the holy name, because the name embodies, describes the nature of the thing so named. Islam? And the name attributes of Allah are literally how to sublime invisible unity, that is Allah. Make himself known within creation. Those attributes are the limbs, so to speak. And being that man is also spirit, as well as being one with Allah, his or her true limbs must be the same. Thus, our true image and likeness is expressed only in how well man embodies and projects the attributes, the names of Allah in daily life. Chapter 1 and chapter 11 teaches us that all of manifestation is but thoughts of Allah. This is profound because in a very brief and direct way, nobles and true light seekers, it says that all of creation itself are an infinite amount of thoughts in the mind of Allah. That manifestation observed each thought, and through that observation of that own thought, we have our being. Our practical challenge is to become increasingly aware that we are spirits and to live as such, bringing more and more conscious awareness to this fact in our everyday lives, nobles and true light seekers. It is to be living examples. Oh, go ahead, Noble.
I just want to ask a question in what you're saying in regards to the awareness of the spirit. So could we say that coming out of that awareness or falling away from that awareness is, in essence, the fall of man?
Yes.
When your relationship to the divine, when you separate yourself from that actually promotes your fall or the fall of man. Islam?
Noble, you cooking. See, now watch this. Remember we talk about physically alive but spiritually dead? A lot of people are physically alive but spiritually dead, disconnected to the source. Remember, I used the analogy in the Christian church when I used to go illuminate, and when I tell people, and I used to ask people a simple question, and most people don't be thinking in the spirit. And I use the analogy of the light switch, and I ask everybody, "What's the light?" And I point to the light switch, and everybody say the light switch, a light switch. And I say, "Okay, now think with the spirit." People ain't thinking with the spirit; they just looking at something tangible. And I say, "You think the light switch is something, huh? Boom! I cut your power off. Boom! Let's see what the light switch is gonna do. That light switch ain't gonna do shit. Excuse my candor, because that light switch ain't connected to the power. That light switch is just a mechanism that brings the power down. But if I cut the source of the power off, it ain't nothing but a doohickey."
Fine.
Doohickey.
But that's like that like you said, that illustration is like so that well, you can put that in the form of Yahshua, Holy Prophet Abu Ali. Like, are we plugged in?
Yes.
Because those two that are the outlet, are the ones that to plug in to get access to the source.
Yes. It's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I be saying. I said we done lost our sense of direction. If you lost and you don't want God by your brother, that's a guide in the map. That's crazy. And all this stuff that we talking about is profound, because in a very brief and direct way, it's saying that all of creation itself is infinite. All thoughts is of Allah. All this. Our bodies, our spiritual life, our transformation, our flesh through our service to our fellow man, becoming living examples. That's chapter 25 and 5 of our Moorish Quran. I mean, it's there. And so I'm going to end with this part and I'm done, man. The gnosis of art. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth. The other is falsehood. And falsehood is that which seems to be. Now, truth is art and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of right. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of art, are not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflexes just appearing, while the ethers vibrating, so and so on. And when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth. It is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. Man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined or synchronized in him or her. And we strive as one. And naught goes down, and man as truth abides. Power is a manifest, is the result of force. It is but naught, is an illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. And power is that will and manifest, direct the breath. Understanding is the gnosis of the art and of the naught of the falsehood and of truth. Wisdom is the consciousness that man is art, that Allah and man are one, that naught is naught, that power is but an illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above and around, below, but in, which in the light of art becomes the naught, and Allah is all. Islam?
Islam.
We almost done, man. In our Moorish Quran, chapter 7, I hope we writing this down. You got to understand this. When we talk about the assertion, which you have to carefully look at. When we talk about Allah equals truth, equals all, an event or action. Truth is action and has no cause. So the type of action has been qualified. And it wouldn't be just any action. It must be an action with no cause. Such an action would have no beginning and so no end, making it what? Omnipotent, making it what? Almighty. So then we call it what? Divine action. When we say the divine comes first. Are y'all with me? Okay. And then we talk about chapter 7. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth, the other is falsehood, and falsehood which seems to be. Now, truth is divine action and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is non-divine action, and yet it is the manifest of conformity to what? The will. And all things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of what? Divine action, are non-divine action, and so must pass away. Spirit man informs the clay. Allah and spirit man are aught, aka equals anything. Anything equals any action or event with no cause. When a person say, "Oh, I'm just doing anything," or "I don't know," so then that's an action or event with no cause or no beginning. We got to do things on a divine will. Will equals force equals what? Omnipotent. It changes not. When you see chapter 7 in your Moorish Quran, starting with verse 14. All this stuff, this terrain are divine. Wisdom is consciousness. That man is all. Allah and man is one. Consciousness is divine. It's a divine act. The act of the mind which makes known an internal object. The higher self is Allah, internal to man. The will is a divine action. We call what? That force, which has no cause, no impetus or beginning, no alpha and omega. Love is an act of charity, justice, mercy, benevolence. When you talk about the 99 attributes and the 12-step ladder, Allah and man equals breath. So you talk about the term divine act, and it explains all, equals thing, equals a causeless act. So we got to think about these things, man, when we talk about Allah and ought, and causeless cause, and causeless cause equal divine act. And divine act equals wisdom, will, love. When you get into these dictionaries, you'll see what they break down spirit and how they break it down. So when you say ought, when you look up what ought is defined, it's a noun. The digit 0 or nothing. When you look up in an American Heritage Dictionary, you look up all these things, noun in English, not mean the number 0. So if it's 0, that means it's a placeholder or a figurative nothing, whereas ought and ought, whereas AUGHT and OUGHT, the later in its noun sense, right? Strikingly speaks mean all or nothing and are not names of the number 0, even though they are sometimes used as such. In Oxford Dictionary, noun, non-existence, nothing. The figure 0. Remember what I talk about a cipher, a placeholder, a 0? So I don't want to stay all into that. But the words AUGHT or OUGHT, the latter is a noun sense. Similarity comes from Old English. We can break all this down so we can stay in the same manifest. So when you see AUGHT equals truth, holy breath, naught equals falsehood, manifest power, illusion, man equals truth and falsehood strangely mixed, equals the breath made flesh, force equals will of Allah, power results of force, a manifest illusion. So all these things we got to understand and keep clear in our Moorish Quran chapter 3 and 9. All these reverse things that we talk about, love, unity, the interplay of God, the synchronicity. So with that, I end, man.
Islam. And that made me think of the causeless cause, made me think of the scripture, the faith. Faith is the of things hoped for, right? Mm-hmm. The evidence of things not seen. Mm-hmm. You know, that which you can tie into the spirit, right? For those things that are produced, that are not seen, that comes out of the ought into manifest, or those things that we see, which basically is the substance. What lies in the manifested state is that which the spirit produced that we cannot see, but the substance is where more or less what we're getting at today of how to actually embrace it.
Yes,
it's because of that's what the substance is of it.
Yes,
not actually for that.
Islam. And I know, and I said, maybe next week, I know we're going to jump on this because Noble Lamarck wanted to jump on this. I don't know if he is available to do it right now. I know he's traveling, look like. And I didn't want to hold everybody.
Yeah, I'm not available.
It's all
but
good.
You know what? When you start speaking about when you spoke about the art, that actually is in the Al Ikhtar Sagala.
Yeah.
Talks about the gnosis of art. It's in there.
Yes.
The gnosis of art.
It's in here. Yes.
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 Yes, it's in there. There talks about the gnosis of art.
Yes.
I think it's chapter 10 or 11.
Yes.
I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's nothing new. And then we'll touch on this when Noble Lamarck, I say maybe tomorrow as Noble Lamarck finished where he left off.
Yeah.
This is the infinite wisdom. And I say the unto thee I grant is the infinite wisdom. When I tell Moors, the second Moorish Akashic record is the annotated source text for chapter 20 to 44 of the Circle 7 Quran, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. This text served as a guide for immigrants to the urban cities of the North who had lost knowledge of their heritage, language, and customs. It was compiled by the transplanted religious nationalist Prophet Noble Drew Ali, 1886-1929, who taught that the former slaves were originally Moorish and had their nationality, language, and identity stripped from them during the era of slavery. Drew Ali was born Timothy True, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of infinite wisdom is unto thee I grant. When Moors just have to admit that a lot of the wisdom they don't have, it's there. And it's nothing to argue about. The infinite wisdom, the second Moorish Akashic records, the source documentation of the revelation to the lost found Moorish nations of Northwest Amexima. It's a lot of things that go with things. And I don't want to stay too far in it because we have these things. And like I said, tomorrow in Sunday school, Noble Lamarck, we'll be able to touch on things and we'll be able to go a little bit deeper into it. But that's why I say it's no use to have things and we're not going to use it for self, to perfect yourself and then link up with people that's operating like that. That's why I say it don't make no sense if you're looking for the key of life and you get it and then it's telling you what you need to do and you don't find people that's operating. Are you operating? That don't even make sense. Well, how are you going to be in a community or tribe? You want to be a rogue? It is a critical edition of the Wisdom published by the Lawrence Publishing Company of Chicago. It was later reprinted in 1925 by the Oriental Literature Syndicate of San Francisco. That reprint was revised and given a new introduction to make the text an Egyptian work that made its way to Tibet instead of composed there. All commentary from this text is included along with the notes where the three texts differ. Since this was the source text of chapter 20 to 44 of the Circle 7 Quran of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, I have also included textual differences for the section of the text relevant to that sacred text. Why should such a text be analyzed in such detail? It provides one measured response to the trails and tribulations of the Great Migration and the start of this century from the former plantations to the ghettos of the inner city for former slaves that were once members of the great empires and nations but have forgotten their language, tradition, and customs. In the 1920s, saw a mass migration of African Americans from the South to the large cities of the North. The most favorite destination included New York City, Harlem, Chicago, Detroit, Lansing, Kansas City, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Newark, and Washington, D.C. They came here looking for jobs and a better standard of living, blah, blah, blah. So some of there were pie in the sky preachers like Father Divine, with this is what they said, with the dirt cheap hotels and feasts, Daddy Grace with his limos and 7-inch long painted fingernails and gold silk robes, and others were race warriors that fought to gain every right possible for the disenfranchised. The later group included the 49th State Movement and the Abyssinians, the Garvey Movement, and the Moorish Science Temple. The Abyssinians were made famous for the burning of an American flag in 1919. Later groups such as the Moorish Science Temple and the NAACP and the Nation of Islam would make sure that they were not confused with Grover Washington Cleveland's Chicago-based Abyssinians, also known as the Star Order of Ethiopia. So all this stuff out of the conditions arose Noble Drew Ali, Timothy Drew. And we talk about how he was born, but blah, 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 blah. We can start getting in things, and in this science, it's good history, and it's to synchronize. And it's a lot of books that bring things to you and start connecting you to show you how to slow down and relax. So with that, man, I digress and thank everyone for being here. Any questions, man? Any questions?
You know what? You had said something earlier, and I was trying to catch it at the time. I'm gonna get it wrong, but it was talking about the manifestation that we are manifested in the soul, in the plane of soul first, and not in the plane
I'm
of
listening. Go ahead, Noble.
being made manifest. I was trying to catch it and get my thoughts together to ask it while you were reading it, and I couldn't get them together fast enough. But I remember you mentioning, or you reading that, if I'm not mistaken, that we were created in the plane of soul first.
Say that again, Noble.
That we were created in the plane of soul first.
Well, we charitable. I put it to you like this. I'll play a riddle with you, and because you know how we do the things. You cherubim and cherubim. I'll put it like that. That. You cherubim and cherubim. I'll put it like that. You're gonna be like, oh. I guarantee you.
On both.
Yeah, you damn right. That's why we always say the divine comes first. The divine has to come before all the other stuff. Because if the divine don't come first, then it's just data.
Man.
It's simple. We make it hard.
Yeah.
So I give gratitude for everybody being here. Solomon, you're going to get together this week and handle some business. So gratitude. I got more things coming, man. So everybody be patient with me. I just had to change some things, packaging and things out here to get some things operating a little bit smoothly. So everybody that got things coming, I think Noble, Lamarck, I got some suits coming for you, right? For your nephew, right? If I'm not mistaken. And I know I got Maso suits coming. Okay. So I got everything.
No, I got all my suits already.
Okay, I got some for your nephew coming, right?
Oh, yeah. I needed the two.
Okay, I got you. And everybody, I got suits coming, and everybody necklaces. I'll be shipping that out ASAP, man. So gratitude for y'all patience, man. Solomon, you wrapping them turbans?
Yeah, so I'm still trying to learn how to rap.
Hey, you got to be doing that every day. Here, like, boom, got it. You can't put it in the closet. Don't just put it in the closet. It's a process. It's a process, Noble.
And you got to keep trying it because you get better.
Yes.
Get better, you know what I mean? With time. And so, the fact that I keep doing it every day, that's why I can do it outside my car now. Just stand there and boo, 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 boo.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I went to dinner with my dad. He was like, you just did that? You just tied that turban? I'm like, yeah. But it takes, especially because of the longer ones, the shorter ones, you got to understand the hair length. Because if your hair is growing, there's impacts on, how your hair grows. There's a lot, man.
Yep. And that's why I say certain things like that, we can take our time. Like I said, it's all about the base. Remember how I showed one time, once you get it on, you fold it right, you wrap one part, you can have that one long piece. And then it's just how you wrapping it. And then it's wrapping and tucking. We'll do it again. But it's going to be so, how can I say, rewarding, because it's a science. Wrapping your turban is a science. I tell everybody, how you think all those sheiks and all those Muslims and all those areas, you think they go to bed with their turban on their head?
Dope.
Heck no. They take it down. They got to do it. They got to do it every day. I can show y'all in certain part shops, Maso. You go to like a barber shop. That's what they do. They wrap turbans there. They have a little smoke shop, barber shop. They go in there. You got your turban. They wrapping your she-mag in your turban. That's what they do, selling garments. You go there and be like, hey, if you know how to wrap your turban, you got to go there and you got to go to the damn shop and get your turban wrapped by the barber. You got to go in there and sit down and have the barber wrap your damn turban. Real talk. Every day.
Islam.
Islam.
So I give gratitude to everybody for their time, man. Like I said, man, if y'all, man, missed a workout, we had an amazing workout today. I'm telling y'all, man, try it. I'm telling y'all, man, you got to dive into your body. You got to make time. Even if you're not working out with us, you got to be like, okay, dedicate some time to be like, man, hey, well, I might miss with y'all, but I am getting it on my own, because you got to do this. This is a part of things. I promise you it would make you feel better. But with that being said, man, let's do our Moorish American prayer. If Alonzo is available, we can get our benediction. If you are available, Alonzo, if you're not, I understand.
Islam, no.
All right, let's do our Moorish American prayer. Y'all know don't mind. Anyone?
Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah, my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, noble true Ali, Ayah, Shalom, Alakim, Hotep, Islam. Peace, 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 peace. Be well, nobles, be light, be love. You got the benediction, Alonzo?
Islam, no.
Islam.
May the benediction of Allah be upon thee and thine always, as thou shouldst strive to be a credit to Allah. Make haste to bestow thine acts of love upon thy brethren. Do the best to shun thine evil ones. Remember to take suckle of the breast of knowledge, wisdom, fortitude, charity, love, and all standing, that you might nourish the souls of men. Let truth be the shield in the manifest battle of falsehood. Know that Moors need not to pick the locks of the paradise by means of petty or criminal death, for behold, the key to salvation already rests within thine own hands. And yes, even though a portion of our nature's weakness, instability, and inconsistency, it still is the greater part of our nature that is divine. May Allah protect thee, guide thee, preserve thee, lengthen thy aid, and give thee everlasting peace. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Haq, Ya Muhammad, Islam. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace, 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 Brian. Peace, Brian. We got it in and we got it out, Noble. We got it out of here. Gratitude and honor for you checking in. I know you probably just getting out of work, man. So gratitude to you, man, and love. I'll send a teaching to you, man, to your inbox so you can look at it later, man, when you get home or whatever, Noble. Islam?
Islam, gratitude, my bad.
Ain't no my bag. What you mean ain't no my bag? It's life. You work. Ain't no my bag. Your spirit with us? Yeah, ain't no my bag. It ain't no bag. Gratitude for you popping in when you can, Noble. We're sending teachers to you, man. Love and blessings to you, Noble.
Islam, love y'all right back.
Islam and love. And see y'all tomorrow for workout and class. Peace. Peace. Child. I got that boy back. I want some of this food. I saw that food like, I'm down. You can't be doing that. You know about eyes like Scooby-Doo? Here I come.